We have the final round of the Tata Steel Chess India Rapid 2024. Nodirbek Abdusattorov makes his way to the chair. He's taking on the final boss of chess, Magnus Carlsen. This was supposed to be the most exciting encounter that everyone was looking forward to in the final round, as Magnus was in the pole position at the end of day 2 and Nodirbek was just trailing him by half a point. But then Magnus won both of his games and Nodirbek lost both, and so right now Magnus has already won the tournament with one round to spare. But Nodirbek would definitely like to beat Magnus, and Magnus comes in, starts the clock and then takes his chair. It's the English opening 1c4, and for Nodirbek it's all about getting this win, getting into a good mindset. Beating Magnus is never easy, and if someone can do it, it is definitely Nodirbek. He has done it in the past. He has become the world rapid champion, beating Magnus at the age of just 16 years. He knows it and has done it before. e6 by Magnus. Knight comes out to c3. And will Magnus go for the classical move d5? No. He goes for a somewhat modern approach with bishop b4. And Nodirbek takes a bit of his time and then pushes his pawn to e4. Magnus plays c5, clamping down on the d4 square, and an aggressive move, queen to g4. Very interesting, attacking the pawn on g7. Magnus plays g6, and believe it or not, after just 4 moves, we have a fresh position that has never been played in the history of chess. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Bishop takes knight, and now you can take with the d pawn, opening up the bishop. But Nodirbek goes for an even more ambitious approach, taking with the b pawn, bolstering the center. Magnus brings his knight out. Now if you think about it, this position looks really good for white, especially because he has the bishop pair. Also his pawn structure looks really good in the center. But Magnus is just saying, like, both of your bishops are not active right now. Maybe your dark squared bishop is good, but your light squared bishop is hemmed in by its own pawns. But look at Nodirbek. He's pushing his pawns forward. f4 is on the board, and now f5. Clamping down the structure, fixing the pawn on f4 so that the bishop cannot get active. If you think about this position a bit deeply, you will realize that it all hinges on whether white can get the bishop activated. If this bishop gets activated on the dark squares, then it would be serious advantage to white, and this is how Nodirbek is trying. He's trying to get some activity for that bishop. Magnus is trying to keep it closed. b6, and now white castles, and you will see that this pawn is not being taken very soon. Bishop b7 played, and now Nodirbek pushes his pawn in the center, trying to destabilize this entire structure. But Magnus keeps it as it is. He goes knight to a5. He's found that the c4 pawn is now weak, just in the spirit of the Nimzo Indian. Bishop comes out to e3. And he goes rook c8. Once again, keeping an eye on the c4 pawn, he brings rook d1. Now you cannot try to win material, as we have seen here. Bishop takes, activates the bishop, and is very good for white. So Magnus goes castles. He's like, let's keep the position as closed as possible. He goes knight to h4 now, trying to put pressure on the g6 pawn. And Magnus simply moves his king away. There are possibilities of some tactics like this, because if you take knight g6, but the knight is hanging for the time being. So for now, after king h8, he pushes d5. Magnus goes rook g8, not touching the structure. Knight f3 back in the position. And now bishop a6, attacking here. A very good move is rook e1. Just looking in this direction with the rook, it's a very, very strong move. But Magnus is worse. He still gets up. And let's see what Nodirbek does now. He understands the core of the position and he goes knight to g5. Quite a good move here by him. If ed, he wants to take with the rook. And Magnus has to think for a bit. He takes on d5. And Nodirbek takes back with the rook. Now taking this pawn on c4 makes some sense. But if you look here closely, we are coming into a situation where this dark squared bishop could get activated. It is still pretty passive. E takes d6 has been played. Now you want to take here, but the problem is rook takes, queen takes, knight f7. I mean, after taking on c4, there's knight f7 check. So that doesn't work. So he plays queen d7, and after takes, he takes back with the knight, and rook d1 played. So just centralizing the pieces. Magnus plays rook to g7. His hope is that he can take this pawn. And a beautiful move by Nodirbek. He wants to go queen d3, push the knight away, play c4 and get his bishop to b2. Rook e8 by Magnus. And now this is getting really dangerous. Nodirbek brings his queen in. Wow. He takes the knight on g5, queen takes c4, and knight e4 played. He comes back with his queen, threatening c4 and bishop b2. We spoke about this bishop getting active few moves ago, and it's still the theme. Look at how Magnus gives up a pawn just to keep that threat under check. And now brings his rook to c8, attacking the queen. Nodirbek is playing phenomenally well. He is now in a winning position here with Magnus. Queen d4. I love this move. The queen is very well placed on this diagonal. Just if you can get this bishop here, it's over. And Magnus pushes b5, not to get c4 going. Now bishop b2, threatening c4. He plays rook c4, clamping down. Queen e5 in the position. a6 by Magnus, trying to defend this pawn, but it's not going to be very solidly held, because now you want to destabilize this rook on c4. So Nodirbek brings his rook up. Fantastic chess. Making space for the king to come up, and so that the rook can start moving. It's right now pinned very badly. Rook takes rook. Pawn takes, and now what a nice move. Now the bishop is coming from this side. King h7 and bishop e3. The rook comes back. Just be careful, don't rush into bishop d4. Rook e8 would trap the queen, so we wait for a bit. h3. I love this move. The patience being shown here by Nodirbek. He's such a mature player. So strong. Rook e8. Now just play queen d4 and you are winning here completely. No, he sacrifices his queen, pushes his pawn. Queen d8. Magnus is surprised. Bishop d4. What is Nodirbek doing? He's basically stopping the knight from going back and hoping to bring his bishop this way and queen the pawn. This looks like a very interesting idea. But Magnus is like, well, this is just a draw now. I have moved. He adjusts himself in the chair. He's very, very confused. Because until now, Nodirbek was pushing, and you can see the look on Nodirbek's face. He's not that of one who's confident. Seems he's botched up something. Some miscalculation has happened by him. Wow, these are raw emotions which you cannot really understand without understanding the position on the board. It was complete domination of the game by Nodirbek, but this last move, last couple of moves where he sacrifices the queen, was completely uncalled for. And Magnus is just calculating. There are so many ways in which he can hold here, which makes him confused. Why did Nodirbek do this? Queen h4, and look at Nodirbek there. He cannot believe why he did this. Ouch, that hurts, because now there is a check, and it's a perpetual even if you make a queen, and there's no way to prevent it. Well, this is the feeling you get when you dominate a game for 38 moves and then just in the last couple of moves botch it up. A handshake for a draw, and Magnus Carlsen remains unbeaten in this tournament with a score of 7.5 out of 9. This was a golden opportunity for Nodirbek to beat him. He gets up from the chair, not at all pleased. Magnus is very happy with his performance, a truly dominating one.